Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's virtual FRB Tech Fair. On behalf of the entire Mphasis team, we wanted to thank you for being here today with us. To help you navigate through the virtual event a bit, I just wanted to point out that everyone just came from our lobby and have now entered our main hall section of the event platform. Here is where the main events will take place, like today's keynote session and panel discussions. Later, we will ask everyone to go back to the lobby to explore a bit, and there you'll find our exhibition hall where we have 4 booths set up for you. You can visit and participate in live demos later in the day. Towards the end of the event, we will all head over to the networking lounge to get to know each other a bit better, have some fun, and play games for a chance to win some cool prizes. I also want to point out that in the main lobby, there's a help desk, which you can visit at any time, and someone there will help you visit with any technical issues you might be facing. You can engage with us by clicking on group chat, where we encourage you to submit your questions throughout today's session. We'll either have someone answer your questions live or have subject matter experts respond back to you in the chat window. At the bottom of the navigation bar, you will also see an icon to view an agenda for today, as well as feedback icon, where we encourage everyone to please share your feedback after each session is over. Also, you should already be muted by default, but as a friendly reminder, please check frequently that your microphone is on mute at all times. Okay, thank you everyone. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, DK Sharma, CEO at Workplace Credit and ex-CIO for Citigroup's international consumer business, including Mexico and all of Asia and Europe. DK's experience with core banking platforms coupled with modern technologies enables a practical view of how companies in the BFSI space can evolve from their legacy systems to digitally enabled platforms economically and efficiently. He has an in-depth experience in developing and deploying modern technologies such as cloud, APIs, and microservices to conversational and RPA AI solutions and big data technologies to solve business problems in banking and financial services. Okay, thanks everyone. Now over to you, DK. Take it away.
Thanks, Ryan, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you guys today. At the very outset, I wanted to say that core systems migration are hard but rewarding. I can say that with some experience, as I've done over 30 of them. On reflection, all of them were incredibly fruitful and got better and better as we baked in the learnings from one migration after the other. I was told by the team that you are in the middle of one such migration as we speak. So it's my pleasure today to share with you some of my experience and wish you really all the best as you undertake your journey in what can be a pretty fulfilling but complex experience of a lifetime. So to start with, I mean, why do we do these migrations given the complexity that is involved? The simple answer is that there are some really significant benefits around some key themes of simplification, better time to market, reduction of risk, really a big focus on customer centricity, which I know is very near and dear to your hearts as you pursue really some of your marquee clients. So you're a really marquee client base, and so enabling you to become very customer centric is clearly, I'm sure, a big objective of yours. Then cost reduction, be it in operations, technology, or middle office. I would also say that reporting, which is a key part of a responsible bank, becomes easier as you have a better core banking platform. And as I look at the world's focus is getting more and more onto digital, and especially post-COVID, you want to be digitally native and you want to make sure that a lot of your operations are supported digitally. So digital transformation is in general supported by some kind of a core transformation, either a migration or an extensive API enablement. The other part, which I also feel is, which happens as a result of some of these migrations, is you get into more and more into the space of real-time posting. And that has a significant impact into simplifying your reconciliation and servicing capabilities. That said, in any migration, there are certain inherent risks, and it is inherently a risky kind of exercise. But the objective is that how can you have a bunch of mitigating controls so that your inherent risk becomes reduced to manageable risk. And some of the obvious risks to manage are program delays. And history is replete with examples of programs that were supposed to have lasted for a year, went for 2 years, and so on and so forth. So obviously, very close thing to watch and ensure that the program is kind of completed on time. And associated thing is managing scope to make sure that that is done in time. Data mapping issues. When you are doing a migration, you are dealing with a whole bunch of data moving from one platform to the other. While I would say that it's a concern, it can also be a big enabler, as I will shortly cover. But you can do, if you don't do this data mapping well, then that can be a significant risk. As you migrate your portfolio from one system which has been there for many, many years, over time things get inbuilt, which even the business sometimes doesn't know that exist, and they are applicable for your customer portfolio. And when you do the migration, you discover that there is suddenly some missed functionality. So that also is an inherent risk which you need to be aware of. And then some performance issues post-migration, customer communication issues. And last but not the least, you are managing a lot of data from one platform to the other. So you have to be very careful and cognizant of any type of potential data breaches that could happen. So you have to be very watchful. So as we go forward, I would like to share some of the best practices that potentially help us derive the benefits and avoid some of the challenges that I kind of referred to. And the first thing I would talk about is non-technical. It is cultural. And in many of the migrations that I have been involved with, the ones that have worked the best are those where they are treated not as technology initiatives, but as clear business initiatives. And they work best when there is a very clear business sponsorship and an ongoing governance cadence. One of the best initiatives that I'm very proud of that we ran successfully was when we took 7 businesses in Asia and we took them and migrated them to a common platform, soup to nuts, across customer communication channels, customer interaction channels, analytics platforms, core banking platforms, core credit card platforms, risk systems, underwriting systems, and we migrated them from a variety of disparate platforms for customer portfolios in excess of million customers, and we moved them to a standard go-to platform in a matter of less than 2 years for 7 businesses. And that was done truly as a joint effort across business, tech, ops, and with an overall leadership and sponsorship that was driven by the business. So a lot of positivity was brought by the business sponsor, who worked on ensuring that the scope was controlled, the trade-offs were made logically, and there was an absolute lack of any finger-pointing culture. Because problems will happen if there is a culture of accountability and helping each other and resolving issues when they arise. I would submit that no matter how complex a problem, it can be solved. And the example that I just gave you was clear testimony to that. So 7 platforms in less than 2 years across multiple different aspects of a core banking system. So the second thing which I would say from a best practice perspective is discipline on data. Garbage in is garbage out. Migrations are a huge opportunity to get better data in your core. Again, speaking from experience, regulators love good data coming from core systems without a lot of massaging and inexplicable transformations that they cannot understand. And a typical bank has a lot of it, because what happens is that there are data flows from core banking systems to interim data mart, to subsequent data mart, to risk data marts, to final reporting. And in that whole process, it's very hard to show the lineage appropriately. And there's a whole bunch of transformations get done on assumed values, missing values, and that really irks regulators. So missing fields and default values should be managed down, and migrations should be subject to intense data quality matrix reviews. So there should be a data czar that is appointed who's publishing such matrix to a governance team. And we must make sure that all of the data from a legacy platform is archived for near posterity, because believe you me, there will be times when you'll need access to that. So there will be situations, and you have to make it usable, because if you take data and just dump it on archive tapes and it's very hard to access that, then it can be a bit of a challenge. So try and see if there are means by which you can easily access the data, not by using the core's old systems capabilities, but maybe by through a data mart or others. Simplification is critical. There are huge advantages of a reduced and manageable footprint of applications. However, the thing to watch is do not keep old systems because a piece of functionality or a small set of customers that for whatever reason could not be migrated. And that will actually cause a whole bunch of additional complexity and error. On hindsight, we didn't do such a good job in my prior life on one such migration where we ended up simplifying just the very core and not a lot of ancillary systems. And we kept those going. And in large part, many of that functionality was replicated in the new ecosystem. Now, that may not be the case in your case, but just bear in mind that that could be something worth watching out. It causes a lot of maintenance headache and causes a lot of expensive legacy debt that you need to continue carrying on. We must simplify and streamline business processes. Things like account opening, updates, make them digital, make them zero ops. One of the best experiences was when we implemented instant account opening. And it was really a pleasure to see that we could have a customer come into the branch within 15 minutes at that time, or actually no, within 7 to 8 minutes, one could come in, be onboarded and get, like, within 15 minutes, he could walk out with a debit card, which was imprinted in the branch. Now, that may not be required for you. I'm just giving an example that instant account opening is a big wow for clients who come into the branch or may apply digitally. When you apply digitally now on banks, you can get instant account opening done, and should be the way to go forward. The other part to remember is that migration should not be a one-time activity, right? You migrate to, let's say, IBIS, and then you allow that to become by itself obsolete is not a good idea. So the business should start thinking about making sure that on an ongoing basis, there is a cadence of ensuring sticking to the latest versions of the software, so that you don't end up creating every 8-9 years massive programs. There should be a cadence of timely upgrades that is built into the ongoing technology program. So some of the key benefits that I wanted to call out and really make sure that the people understand, because when you're going through what is a very difficult process, sometimes you end up like losing sight of the picture. So I've been there, done that. So wanted to make sure that all of you probably already know it, but I would just still want to call out that, look, migrations can really help you make very customer centric. More modern platforms manage core customer data way better than legacy platform. Be it a single CIF, be it a ability to have a bunch of whole additional set of attributes that can drive cross-sell or better risk management. Again, talking about legacy, we would have multiple John Does in a CIF. And almost all of the legacy platforms, when we use them to migrate, we put them to a single John Doe. So a very simple thing, but creating a unique customer ID and ensuring that there's no duplication. And as a result of which, full 360-degree view established, as well as on an ongoing basis, when you do things like address changes or any of those updates, they just happen, right? So it's obvious, but many times it's just not there until you do some of these data cleanups associated with the migration. We can actually use the migration as an exercise to reach out to clients to get some extra data that maybe historically be missing. And I've been part of programs where we used our relationship managers who use this exercise, because communication typically goes out and you can get additional information where the information may be missing. So it provides the momentum to do a cleanup. Use it. I think we must make sure that happens. The other part where the modern banking platforms are giving you a better capability of what I call as Lego blocks. So IBIS, for example, does provide many of its capabilities as APIs through what they call as Code Connect, which FIS I personally know is heavily investing in, and is building those Lego blocks that allow you to do this composition of customer journeys and customer 360-degree views and a whole bunch of smart interactive queries. So customer centricity is significantly enhanced. And when you take like an IBIS with some packages that do things like pricing, then all of a sudden you can do very rich and maintainable set of configurable capabilities that let you drive product and pricing arrangement with your clients in a best in class fashion. So I know in one of our businesses in Mexico, relationship pricing was a big deal. And it was, and in many places, based on where I worked, you couldn't do relationship pricing. You pretty much did account level pricing. Or if you did relationship pricing, you did it by duct tapes, where you sort of maintain a lot of end user computing to somehow manage to keep the relationship, the pricing relating to things like if you have balance more than 300,000, you get 50 basis points on your wealth management fee and things like that. And you couldn't really do that at scale. But with some of the capabilities that I'm talking about, you can do them at scale and in a very transparent fashion with full customer communication and ability to trace and tell why somebody was charged, what he was charged. So there's no revenue leakage as well. So we should expect post these implementation a significant reduction in how we introduce new offers, introduce new journeys, and what maybe some people call a two-speed architecture, where you can actually, these APIs can help you do a lot of front-end development, digital experiences development without any dependence on the core backend per se. And the backend can potentially be upgraded once or twice a year, right? A lot of modern banking platforms support real-time posting, and legacy mainframe platforms do what is called as memo posting and then a batch repost. And things like funds availability, account updates are either not available in a real-time basis, or they're available with some technical workaround, which can potentially cause reconciliation issues and customer service issues when these things break. So when you have a real-time transaction processing capability, it significantly makes sure that it significantly enables you to consistently deliver these capabilities around instant availability of funds, instant availability, instant updates, and things like that. In general, a better practice to have a truly 24/7 transaction posting and update engine. The big point with data is that you will find that once you have better data, your risk in reporting reduces. The previous company that I used to work for got a consent order because the data was not good. And I would say that use this opportunity to ensure that your downstream reporting system can leverage better data that comes post your migration. That itself will be a big win for the organization as you do all types of regulatory and financial reporting without having to worry about data integrity issues and things like that. So systems migration, such as what you are currently in the midst of, will allow you to make your data to be as close to the source systems and systems of record with minimal mapping. Again, very important to ensure that we do minimal mapping and transformation. And plus, a lot of data capabilities will allow your core data to be augmented with a whole bunch of additional data to really deliver a whole bunch of additional rich insights that would be of tremendous value. So how does one manage risk reduction overall? Because there are huge benefits, there are some risks, and there are, as I made the point earlier, you can have the residual risks to be significantly manageable. So what are those key practices? So the answer in my mind is simply relentless execution against a set of good routines. One of the big things which I will highlight is very thorough user acceptance testing at things like journey level, not at individual function or a capability level, running across logical business days. So what you do something and make sure that's reflected in a statement. It is done, year-end posting and all is checked. That's obvious, but just I'm calling it out that people often test at an individual function level and do not look at the overall picture. And one must make the user journeys, which will then have to be incorporated in a test plan. The other important point, again, based on learning, is that we must make sure we test on a converted data. So if, let's say, you're moving from a Fiserv to IBIS, I would say do as much of testing on a fully converted data than on a non-converted test system. It just brings out things which may be unforeseen. A lot of automated regression testing is important. That there's a bunch of test scripts which are running in automated way, with every test cycle. And one more thing which I would suggest very strongly is that do what we have done successfully in the past, and we called it parallel testing, where what we did was we take a starting point of, let's say, a legacy platform, convert it to the new platform, and apply a whole bunch of transactions as they came through in the old platform. Apply the same to the new platform. Let both the platforms curate those transactions and process them, and then take the results and compare automatically, and do that repeatedly. And it does require some investment. It does require some thinking. But if you have done that, you will find that there'll be some differences, and many of those differences may be acceptable, but at least what's the reason for those differences and what you do about them, and you can find them out upfront, right? If possible, do some pilot testing even in a lab environment. I know you guys are going for a big bang over a weekend, and big bang has its advantages because you get done and you're over with. But just be very careful and make sure that you can do some pilot user testing. Plan for some additional capacity in the implementation phase. When you are 30 to 50% additional capacity around your call center and back office is probably a good idea. And I would say that to offset the cost that might happen, invest upfront in automating some of those. Can we do customer interactions through chat or through automated chatbots if possible, so to kind of manage that cost. A very close watch on customer complaints following the migration. And these are some of the things which, if done well, can really substantially manage the risk to a level where it can be, pretty acceptable. Everything which you do will have a risk. There's huge benefits there. The risk can be managed down. And this pattern has been done, many times over. And ultimately comes out to good execution and use of a lot of tooling. I would say the rewards at the end of the journey are manifold. So I would say sit back, take a deep breath, execute, and enjoy the ride. It'll be a lot of fun. So over to you, Ryan. Thank you very much.